Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to Homebrew Mythic Climb. I'm Ricky,
And I'm Connor.
and in this series, I'm going to pilot Connor's Homebrew deck in November in the Best of One ranked constructed, all the way to Mythic. In this video, though, since the season hasn't started yet, we're going to discuss how this deck came to be, and we're going to show you guys how this deck works. Check out the timestamps in the description below if you just want to see the deck. You can jump right ahead. But while you're down there, please like and subscribe so that you know when to tune in and find out whether or not I can make it to Mythic. I'll be streaming the grind on Twitch. See the link also in the description. And I'll be posting the videos and commentary here on this YouTube channel. I just started making both of these channels, so don't mind the empty voids in the banner and the icons. I'm working on it, but let's get started.
All right.
So I'm very excited about this because we're both casual Magic players, at least on MTG Arena. I started on MTG Arena in, I think, M20. What about you?
Around the same time, probably just about a month before you did.
Oh yeah, I think I told you about the beta, but you got started on it first, and then I joined a little bit later. But anyway, since it's come out, we talk about it quite a bit every day. I just usually grind for the 4 wins, and then whenever the sets rotate in, we both love rare drafting like no tomorrow. Doesn't matter if we lose in limited, we just love collecting the cards. But when Zendikar Rising came out, Connor over here came up with this deck, and he made it all the way to Mythic. So that's why we are doing this right now. So Connor,
Yes.
how did this deck start?
This deck started pretty much by accident. I had just just finished the set for M21, opened all my extra packs that I had, and was looking at all the cards, trying to decide on a deck to make, and I tried to make a veto deck. Whenever you gain life, your opponent loses life.
Oh yeah, this guy, right?
Exactly, yeah. Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose.
Yeah, when the M21 previews came out, I think this was one of the cards that made me laugh out loud. Like straight up, I thought it was broken. Especially once you see the other cards in the set, so many weird life gain cards. So I thought it was a lot of fun. So yeah, where did you go from there? I mean, clearly, Veto's no longer in the main deck. So what the heck happened here?
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to make Veto work, and I was just losing and losing and losing a lot.
Okay.
So I just kind of started pulling out of Veto, so I only had 3 copies, and then only 2. And then eventually, as I was tweaking the deck, I just got rid of them completely. And as you can see, the deck has kind of completely changed. So yeah, I didn't have like a good strategy, like, oh, this is the deck I want to make. And then, made it. It was more just like, came together by accident.
Wow.
And I like just doing limited drafting like you do. So I've never really even tried to get up the standard ranked ladder.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, when Embercleave came out, I played Red Deck Wins a lot, and I complained to you about not being able to get past Platinum, and then you were like, "Oh, what is this ranked? You don't even play ranked."
Yeah, but I gave it a try with this, and I just kept winning every day. So I'm like, I guess I'll keep playing ranked ladder. Won the next day. I guess I'll keep playing it, and just went.
Now you're hooked, right?
All the way up to Mythic, and now I'm hooked.
Well, okay. Thanks for taking your time out. I know you have like a couple hours left for the Mythic grind.
Right.
See if you can make those numbers come on your screen. But okay, cool. I think that's very interesting. A true homebrew. You didn't even have an idea. It just like ended up being what it is.
Right.
That's kind of exciting. So, now we're going to take a closer look at the deck. I know I played a few of these. I played a few games with your pile last night, so I kind of know what it's about. But why don't you walk us through what you think this deck tries to do, and what it's good at. And just a reminder, you guys can see the sideboard over here, but we are planning on piloting this in best of one, and that's what Connor here has climbed. So just ignore the sideboard for now. We'll get to that later. So Connor, let's get going.
All right. Well, I think the main way I try and win with this is I try and get some aggressive little lifelink flyers out early.
Okay.
So like a Hushbringer, or like a Nullpriest with a Maul of the Skyclaves on it.
Nullpriest. Okay.
So
Maul of the Skyclaves. Yep.
Right. So I get these little aggressive little lifelink flyers out and try and just kind of trade with my opponent as they're attacking. I'm attacking, but I'm gaining life.
Classic life game.
Right. So you hope to pull ahead there. Usually, they'll have ways to wipe out my early creatures. But then the fun part is, it gets down to, turn 5 or 6 or so, and then hopefully I can bring out the big guns and cast like a Snapdax.
Okay.
The secret weapon here, as you named the deck.
Yeah, secret weapon. Yeah, that's kind of weird because when you told me about Veto, I started messing around with Veto too once Zendikar Rising came out, and then I also arrived at Snapdax. We had quite the exciting night when we both realized we were messing around with Snapdax. But hey, it turns out it's the secret weapon. And of course, I see you have 2 copies of Baneslayer Angel here.
Right.
Classic beatdown. I like it. So what's the overall win conditions? So just weenie flyers and then hopefully you ramp up to big creatures. Are there any other secret plans that this deck does?
The Luminarch Aspirant is another key. That thing can get really scary, if you bring out a little Hushbringer, but then, 3 turns later you've got a 4/5 flying lifelink, and if that's flying over your opponent's creatures, you can usually stay ahead of them, gaining that life every turn.
Pretty solid.
So that's another win condition, and also, of course, Lurrus can be pretty scary later on in the game when you're just bringing back all your threats. So you can kind of stay in it even after all your things have gotten killed early on. And the Selfless Savior combo with Lurrus is always fun.
Selfless Savior.
The 1-drop.
Oh yes, the Doge.
Yeah.
The Derpy Doge. I always call it Derpy Doge. I always completely forget it actually has a name.
Right.
Speak of the Heavens. Oh, okay, interesting. Bloodchief's Thirst, of course, hyper efficient. Okay, I think you've described pretty much all of the cards, except this Ghastly Gloomhunter. What's the deal with this? You only have 1 copy of this card in this deck. Why? That's so random.
Yeah, the only reason was just to make sure I had enough little low drop lifelink creatures.
Interesting.
Because that's kind of the key, I need something that I can mutate my Snapdax onto. I need something with lifelink that I can put my Maul of the Skyclaves on. I need something with lifelink that I can grow with my Luminarch Aspirant.
Interesting. And
so
then flying for the evasion, right?
Flying for the evasion.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And you don't find it weird that it has a kicker option, but you run 4 copies of Hushbringer? Has that ever become relevant?
I mean, it's pretty bad. It's not the card I want here, but I just felt like I needed, a 2-drop lifelink, and the flying is nice. I'd rather have a different ability, because I really don't use that kicker much.
Okay,
at
so
all.
Doesn't matter, huh? So I guess what about Nullpriest? I played a couple games last night, like I said, and this thing came in really handy. I was very surprised by how this performed. The fact that it has Menace actually makes a huge difference, and I swing with this so easily. And then the one game I got Maul the Skyclaves on this, flying Menace lifelink is ridiculous. But obviously I haven't played that many. How did the kicker do on this card?
It actually does come in handy kind of a lot. If I'm falling behind and then I draw Nullpriest of Oblivion. You know, it's just a little 2-drop, but if I've got the mana, sometimes I can bring back like a Baneslayer Angel, or, you know,
Yikes.
something else big from the graveyard.
Huh.
And one other nice thing about that is the kicker still works with Lurrus if I'm casting it from the graveyard. Even though it's just a 2-drop, so you can cast it with Lurrus, you can still play the kicker. So you could also bring out, you know, the Baneslayer Angel or something. So,
Okay.
it can work out. But yeah, mostly it's just a 2-drop. I'm not using the kicker all that much, and you do have to watch out for the Hushbringer, because your own Hushbringer can, you know, stop you from getting that kicker ability.
Okay. A little bit of an awkward anti-synergy there.
Right.
All right. I think we've covered what the role of most of these cards are. So what about the mana base? What is that about? Let's see. We have 26 lands in this pile. We have one of the flip lands on red. Very cheeky, by the way. I noticed that. You have 4 of the white-black flip lands, and then, you know, your basic Swamps, Plains, Cast of Lockwing, and 4 Temple of Silences, and 2 Fabled Passages. Are there any special notes you wanna talk about?
No, I mean, I'm not even sure if I've got the lands right. You know, I want to try and have untapped lands for like 2 and 3, so I can get out
Turn 2 and 3? Okay, yeah.
2-drop lifelink, and then maybe put Maul of the Skyclave on it. But yeah, sometimes it's awkward because I do want to get the Selfless Savior out on turn 1 sometimes.
And then the Scryland screws that up?
Yeah. But you know, I gotta make sure I've got my right colors, so I don't know.
Okay.
Might not be perfect there. Could use some tweaking maybe.
Okay, so obviously I'm gonna be, like I said, trying to climb to Mythic. The meta might change after the weekend, so you know, with that in mind, I think you can still give me a couple of tips in playing this deck, right? What do we see in the current meta, right? What did you see while climbing?
A lot of rogues.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Which is a tough matchup. I think I am below 50% win rate on those.
Oh, yikes. Okay. Maybe we'll get back to that. What other matchups did you see in this meta while you were climbing?
Saw a lot of Yorion decks.
Okay. Yep.
And the key there is to try and get your Hushbringers out and keep them alive. Okay. Which, you know, usually it can either completely foil those decks if they're running like Skyclave Apparition for their removal.
Okay. What do they usually target with Skyclave Apparition?
Well, nothing if I've got the Hushbringer out.
Okay, of course.
Most of the things in the deck can get hit with it otherwise. But yeah, if they get a glass casket on my Hushbringer, then that can be really bad. Or if I don't draw it.
Yeah, you don't have any artifact or enchantment removal in this deck, correct?
Right.
Okay. I'll have to look out for that. What about things like Doom Foretold, Red Deck Wins, Mono Green, Green Red? Oh, sorry, I'm rushing through all of these, but yeah. What about Doom Foretold? Did you notice anything about Doom Foretold?
Yeah. Hopefully I can get a Lurrus out for those matchups.
Lurrus, okay.
You know, and keep playing something from the graveyard to
Makes
stay
sense.
ahead of it. Or just get enough, you know, enough little weenies out to push through it.
Okay. Red Deck Wins?
Yeah, those can be fun. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, I'm kind of racing them with a little lifelink creature, putting some counters on it. And they, of course, get the Embercleave on. But it's really fun if I can just survive long enough to get, like, a Snapdax out.
Snapdax.
Just completely come back from, like, any position, you know. Kill their best creature, whatever has the Embercleave on it. Gain 4 life from that. Attack for another 6 or 10 life.
I hear you, man. Like I said, I played Red Deck Wins when Embercleave first came out, and the bane of my living was basically the Helios deck. Every time they had a blocker and could gain life, I just kind of like shrugged and gave up and hope I drew Embercleave.
Right.
Okay, so what about mono green?
Mono green, that usually goes pretty well. Also, if I can get one of my flyers to just keep growing with lifelink, usually I can fly over the top of most of their stuff.
Interesting.
And stay alive long enough where, once I've got a 6/6 flyer or something, they're in trouble. Then I can chump block with little extra lifelinkers to stay alive. Sometimes get a Lurrus going.
What about Gem Razor? I had a bit of trouble playing Red Deck Wins when Gem Razor came out because it would just blow up the Embercleave or blow up the Annex and I couldn't finish. I noticed you have a couple of do you ever have trouble when they blow up your Skyclaves with the Gem Razor? Because you mentioned you need 1/1 flyers or 2/2 flyers or whatever to fly over their heads, but does Gem Razor really screw you over, or maybe the new Mythic, the Gigaroth?
Yeah, it can be tough. It's kind of all about timing there. I try and see if they've got it on that turn 3, and I might wait to play my Skyclave Maul until I think they don't have it anymore. But sometimes there's enough gas in the deck that it can get blown up, and you can still get in and win.
Okay. What about green-red landfall? Anything there?
Yeah, it's kind of the same as like playing Red Deck Wins. They're going to be going for that early aggro damage, but hopefully I can race them, get some first strike lifelinkers.
That's pretty nasty. Kroxa?
Kroxa, yeah. I'm not sure I've played it enough to really know what the strategy is.
You managed to avoid Kroxa while climbing?
I've played it some. I just don't know if I have any,
Okay, that's fine.
Tips.
What about Thassa Oracle Devotion?
Yeah, that's the one I just lost to. Only played that once. So close, you almost kill them, and then they get that one turn where they go off.
All right, so no clue there. What about a mirror match beatdown? So we talked about this earlier, but well, not on the video, but earlier between us. Lifelink beatdown. So it's similar Orzhov colors, black and white. I've seen a couple of them, like you said, using the Luminarch Aspirant, but I have never seen this pile while I was climbing or trying to climb. What's the difference? Why is your deck better at the mirror match lifelink beatdown?
Well, I'm not sure I've played it enough to know it's better. I think I might be 1-1 against the mono white life gain decks that I've seen.
So that's the Helios Devotion?
Yeah,
okay.
Helios. One of them, they had a bunch of Luminarch Aspirants. They had kind of an amazing draw, and so they just got a giant Speaker of the Heavens out. And they started getting angels, and they were on the play, and I was on the draw. And so I was just a turn behind. Yeah, the mirror match
going second is always asking for trouble. I get that.
But I think on the other match, I was able to fly over them with my flyers. So they were mostly on the ground.
All right, makes sense. All right, so circling back to rogues, because everyone who's playing any sort of ranked games, and even just your standard constructed, you'll notice rogues everywhere. All iterations of rogues, I think, perform very similarly. Some of them run Ruined Crab, some of them run Tutelage. Almost all of them run the 1 black mana rogue with the Soaring Thought Thief. So what are your thoughts on the variations on the Dimir rogues right now? How does this deck do against that?
It's tough.
That's not what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I wanted the deck to beat rogues. It's so frustrating.
I know. I thought I was doing really well against rogues, but now recently I feel like I'm on a losing streak, so I don't know. But I found I usually get milled out.
Oh, really?
You know, rogues do a lot of damage, but I think I'm usually able to keep up with that. But I just can't keep up enough. You know, even as I'm building up a much better board presence that they can't get through, I also can't kill them in time. So I'm working on figuring out maybe how to play that matchup better. Getting Lurrus out, I think, is going to be key because, you know, the graveyard is stocked from all the mill. So that can be nice if I can avoid getting it countered. So that might be one of the keys, just try and draw out all their counter spells before you play the Lurrus.
Interesting. So for those matchups that you did get things to stick on the board, what did you feel that they targeted the most? Was there a card that almost seemed to be vaporized as soon as it hit the board, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they go after a lot of it. Maybe the Luminarch Aspirants. Those don't seem to last too long.
Okay.
And yeah, Hushbringer is also useful in this matchup because that can stop some of the mill.
True.
From that,
True.
That rogue.
Okay, makes sense. What would you say is the toughest matchup, the easiest matchup, and the most frustrating matchup to play against with this deck, with our secret weapon?
Most frustrating might be going against some Yorion decks when I don't draw my Hushbringer, or when it gets a glass casket or something. So those can be really frustrating because I'm like, I could be stopping all of these triggers.
For sure. Classic control. Very, very, very strong.
Yeah. Let's see. Toughest matchup. Right now, feeling like it might be rogues. Maybe some other kind of control.
Okay. And the easiest? What feels like a free win?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's definitely not a free win, but I do like the playing against red deck wins. Just because a lot of times, I can go from, it looks like the game is lost, I've got one little creature out, they've got an army, and then you can just come back from like one life and win it, and that's pretty fun.
Yep, classic lifelink. Let's see. I think I had a couple more questions. So, you made it to Mythic this time, but like I said, the meta might change over the weekend. So, as I'm piloting this deck, I want to know two more things. One, have you considered chopping a land? Because when I was playing it last night, I seem to, you know me. It's like almost a curse with me. This game hates me, and I get mana flooded all the time in drafting. But even when playing your deck, I found myself curving out nicely with some creatures, but then after I get maybe like an Aspirant and a Skyclave Maul and the Selfless Savior on board, I just end up drawing, into 7 lands, and then I lose even though I had such an excellent start.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping when you play, you're going to track whether you're flooding out or not getting enough lands.
That's
I'd be
definitely
curious
what I do.
to see that because I don't know. I feel like I don't think I've flooded out that often, and I did actually just have a game, my last game before I came up here. I was waiting on that 5th land to cast Snapdax, and I couldn't draw it, and I needed it to win.
So would you say it's almost like a personal preference that you'd rather mana flood than not be able to cast one of your spells? Is that kind of what you went for here?
Yeah, maybe so, but I'd definitely like to see see that tracked, and maybe.
Yeah, like I said, I'll start up, fire up the Untapped GG, and keep my own spreadsheet on mana floods and mulligans. So that should be pretty interesting. And then, like we mentioned earlier, we put a couple cards here in the sideboard. Again, this deck does not have a sideboard, but these cards were cards that you remembered you had tried already when this started off as a veto deck. Can you walk me through what was wrong with some of these cards? So, what went wrong with Indulging Patrician? Why did this get cut?
Yeah, the problem with all of them was I just had these cards that weren't doing anything, or Veto wasn't doing anything usually by the time I played him. Because he needs other things there.
That's
or
true.
He's just useless. And I just kept finding, it was like I'll play a creature, it gets killed, I'll play a creature, it gets killed, I'll play Veto, and now I've got a 1/3.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
So I just couldn't get it working. I either had the Veto or the lifelink, but not both. So it was better to just have another threat there. The Clack Bridge Troll combo was fun.
with the Hushbringer.
Yeah, play the Hushbringer, play the Clack Bridge Troll. So.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun combo when it came out in Eldraine, and you gave it a go, okay,
right.
But it didn't work out.
And they don't get the goats. But yeah, it wasn't enough because the deck wasn't aggressive enough, so they could just take the 8 damage, and couldn't get it to work. It was fun though.
It is a pretty trollish card.
Yeah. Trollish, nice.
Yes. What about Erebos' Intervention? How did that do?
Yeah, same deal. I mean, it's nice to gain some life if you have Veto out, but I just found it was too slow. I just needed a quick kill spell. So I switched that out for the Bloodchief's Thirst or the Heartless Act.
Yeah, I think that was a good cut. Like when Zendikar Rising first came out, I completely underestimated Bloodchief Thirst. To be fair, though, I think it's because the Mere Rogues is so common. And I mean, obviously, this is actually one of the cards that enables that deck. It's cheap removal, so that they can hold everything and cast Flash, etc., etc. Completely underestimated this card. This is really good. Even the kicker, you don't feel bad about playing this with the kicker. So yeah, this is really good. Heartless Act, also, it's in the Dimir decks. Hyper frustrating to play against. Yeah, but I think I definitely agree. Way better than Erebos' Intervention. All right, cool. I think that's it. There you have it. That's the deck, unless there's something more you'd like to add.
I think that's it.
Okay, cool. I can't wait to play this deck out in the wild. Feel free to try this out yourself. But, please like and or subscribe to see how I do. And if you do try this yourself, leave a comment. Let us know how you're doing.
I'm looking forward to this.
Let's do it.